I've been very excited to watch the Tanjiro versus Enmu fight again because the great thing about the Mugen train arc is how every time a new action set piece pops up, it pretty much like it makes me say, damn, that might be one of my new favorite fights. And then the next one, the same thing happens and happens and happens until the credits finally play for the last time for this arc. And goddamn, this go to sleep arc and the idea of having to kill yourself time and time again to wake up in order within milliseconds to keep fighting this creature. It is so well done. And we had a bit of a gap here. We had a week delay between these episodes 3 and 4. I believe it had to do something with the Japanese election that just took place last week, because really not much causes Demon Slayer not to come out, but a Japanese election makes a lot of sense from what I read. But to see this episode in all its glory, like there was a handful of new cuts in the episode, but nothing drastic, and we knew that after the first episode, which was completely original to kick off this arc. But the whole idea of either rewatching it or watching it for the first time is to really soak in and take apart piece by piece every single moment that this wonderful arc has to offer. And truthfully, even though I think this arc worked splendidly in a 2-hour movie, watching it episode by episode, it really does, I feel like Demon Slayer, kind of similar to its manga counterpart, having it in bite-sized pieces really lets you soak up the brilliance of the writing, especially in an episode that, even though had a decent amount of action, really it's those emotional moments that really sell me on why this is such a special piece of media. You know, the one person who is pretty much like deathly ill, and the idea of pleasant dreams, I mean, I've been complimenting it a lot. The whole idea of kind of like giving someone pleasant dreams rather than just going straight to nightmares is a really interesting concept, and we get a bit more into Enmu's character in this episode where it's not just giving those happy dreams, it's like once those dreams are completed, he then gives it nightmares, and then those nightmares in the face, like it's sick pleasure. It's such a different and interesting concept for a villain that kind of uses dreams, because usually you get the kind of like Freddy Krueger treatment where it's just straight up nightmares and then death. Rather, happiness to horror to then death is just, it's even more frightening in my honest opinion. And to see the idea that everyone, like once they woke up because Tanjiro killed himself, and really even Enmu himself says, like, you know, to kill yourself in your dream is just something that's unheard of, and can understand why Tanjiro was first on the hit list, which is interesting because you probably were thinking Rengoku would be the first priority target given the strength, but it's something about Tanjiro, despite maybe not physically being as strong as Rengoku, the willpower of a character like Tanjiro is pretty much unlike anything anyone's ever seen. I mean, just look at what happened to his family and what he's continuing to do for Nezuko. Not many, if any, would do what Tanjiro's currently doing, right? So to see him and just like the idea of like the person who was attached to Tanjiro and how touched he was that even though he was going to destroy Tanjiro's core, the spirit fragments inside that peaceful ocean, isolated, clear air situation, it brought him to so it could destroy the core if he wants. And he was so touched that, you know, Tanjiro didn't need to knock him out like he did the other three. And the idea of just wanting those pleasant dreams, like, I don't think you can really blame the people for doing what they did. I mean, human nature and the idea of not wanting to die in a horrible state, it's understandable why you would take, you know, you would agree with a horrifying monster in hopes that you don't have to suffer the same fate. Does it excuse it? No, but you can definitely sympathize with where characters were coming from, given that, you know, they were basically taken advantage of. And I like that Tanjiro didn't need to knock out all of them, because one was truly touched by the kindness in his own heart. And to see the train sequence where there was definitely some flashy moments like with the water attacks, but for the most part, what makes that so interesting is the overall rage in Tanjiro's face and the veins that are almost bursting through his skin. And to see him go in for an attack and then stumble because he gets put to sleep, and the way he flings back up, it is such a smoothly animated sequence. And I think when you look at Demon Slayer action and the things that get really highlighted as, wow, I can't believe Ufotable animated it that well, but it's those moments with how someone who's passing out, almost tipping over off a train that's moving at lightning speeds would easily kill him, and he flinches back up. Those movements are so clean. And to see the fear and the escalation with this character who, over the course of that fight, which was a few minutes long, really, in terms, and really probably less than a minute for them, all things considered, but for the viewer, a handful of minutes. To have Enmu get more pissed off and scared and frightened as it goes on, to the point of building up to like that last hurrah, where a nightmare's finally given. And the fact of the matter is, the one thing you can never do to Tanjiro is convince Tanjiro that his family hates him. You cannot do it. It's completely impossible. You'd been better off just committing to the peaceful dreams, because having his family, despite as painful as it is, the father throwing like hot tea in his face and hitting him in the head with the cup, to the siblings blaming for their own death, like that's something you can't do. And I mean, family's always been the core theme of Demon Slayer, which is one of the biggest reasons why it's so popular in Japan, because it's a theme that resonates very much with the Japanese culture. So to have that moment, probably one of the most powerful moments, like my family would never say that, as then he cuts off the head. Such a powerful and well-directed moment. And I remember when I initially watched it in the movie, I thought to myself, because this is like halfway through the movie, I'm like, what are they gonna do? Because we know that should kill him. So either A, there's another boss we're about to fight, or this character has another thing up its sleeve. And the idea that it was merging with the train, essentially holding everyone captive, such a brilliant maneuver. And the initial like 3D that it uses when it's like kind of like becoming this weird snake, not the greatest thing ever, but I actually love the 3D for the Mugen train arc when it comes to like the tentacles and the grotesqueness, especially when you just see the head kind of bobbing like a snake. It is so disturbing, and I absolutely love how they detailed it. And the fact of the matter is, like Tanjiro says, like 2 carts maximum I might be able to protect, but I need the others to wake up. And have Inosuke of all characters first to wake up, Lord Inosuke. I mean, if you haven't seen this arc yet, all I will say is if you're hoping for good character moments from characters like Inosuke, don't worry. You're going to see some cool shit. Don't sweat it. It's awesome. And I'm really excited to see how the remaining episodes will translate going forward into episodes, because it definitely heats up with its action for sure. But I mean, just look at, you know, if you're watching this in the movie and the movie only, you know, those moments with like the person who is attached to Tanjiro, the kind of like being moved by his core to the point of literally being taken to destroy the core should he want. You're not really going to highlight those moments in comparison to Tanjiro cutting off a demon's head, right? That's just how it's going to be, because those hype moments are the things that are going to be first and foremost in your mind. But in bite-sized episodes, you really get to appreciate an arc like this all the more. And who doesn't want to see Mugen train for a second or third time, right? I mean, with 4 more episodes left of this arc and pretty much remembering where it goes, like I remember the big moments, but even in episodes like these, like I forgot the comedic stuff with like Zensu as well as Inosuke, and just what they had to deal with, the almost Looney Tunes horror style of like them being chased out of dreams and stuff. Like, there's just a lot of like simple moments that I think I really am going to get a kick out of a second time, because they're not fresh in my mind, and I'm going to be like, that's absolutely comedy gold, and it'll be fun to discuss those as well. But I mean, as always, I'd love to know your own thoughts and feelings, whether it's, you know, you're rewatching it in the TV after already witnessing the movie, or you're fresh to the Mugen train arc. What did you think, and what was your personal top pick moment of the episode? For me, it had to be that emotional family scene of my family would never say that. It's such a good moment, and I think one of the best moments Demon Slayer has. Let me know yours down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.